Hello, geeks, and welcome to the second half of our two-part episode on Blockbuster Video and the era of video rental. We released last week our first half of the episode, so if you haven't had a chance to listen to that one yet, I would suggest going back to the episode right before this one. That's the first half of the conversation. We planned on this being a one-part episode, but we got so into it, having some of us been employees of Blockbuster years and years ago, that it ran so long we decided just to release it as two. So this is the second half. This part includes the what we're drinking and making a drunken scene in the second half of a normal episode. So they're just two supersized halves of the same show. The panelists on this episode are, of course, my partner in crime, Lowdown Brown MacGyver, Herr Grutz from Beautiful Disasters, and from Synthetic Nightmare, we've got Will Macabre. Enjoy the episode.
The views and opinions expressed on Geeks Under the Influence are that of the panelists and not of our sponsors, Amazon.com and TeePublic. Parental discretion is advised.
We are things that were and shall be again. A changing of the guard, the tides marching in. You think you can hold out, but you know you're wrong, so you better join us now. You better do it fast, or you will be. Necronomicon gives us power to rise from the dead. You play the tape, I play begins to spread. You can fight all you want, but it's futile to resist. We're here to take the world and rule with an iron fist. So join us or die, or I will swallow your soul. Necronomicon gives us power to rise from the dead. You play the tape.
We're back for the second Geeks Under the Influence, all things Blockbuster and the days of old video rental. And before we get into our second half, we got to talk about our sponsors a little bit. Affiliates and merch that allows us to get this bad boy going. First off, we got Amazon.com. Everybody is ordering from Amazon right now, whether they want to or not. It's just a means to an end at this point during the pandemic to be able to get the products that you need without having to go into a big box store. And you can actually help out this podcast literally just by shopping Amazon. Go to GUIPodcast.com, click on the link in the upper right-hand corner, and anything you purchase through that link, we get credit for. So you can purchase all your daily needs for your day-to-day life through Amazon and also help out one of your favorite podcasts at the same time. If there's movies that we mentioned on this episode that you want to pick up, sight unseen, like we used to back in the day in Blockbuster, and it's $4 on DVD on Amazon, fuck it, why not? Free shipping. Then do it. Fucking do it. And just make sure you do it through the link at GUIPodcast.com. Secondly, we've got TeePublic, our place for all of our merch available to anybody around the world. So we actually have a few new designs available on TeePublic. We've got the new Grutz, you got the new Beautiful Disasters design available.
Fuck yeah, dude. That shit's awesome.
Fucking sick.
Yeah.
That shit's fucking rad as shit. It really
Hell
is.
yeah.
Fucking awesome.
It's done up like the Battle Royale logo, but it's Beautiful Disaster Schlock Abuse Program. It's a great design.
Dude. Yeah, I've been using the new logo for the Schlock Abuse episodes.
We also have a design that I made for this episode specifically that is a homage to the old Blockbuster logo, but it says Geeks Under the Influence, wow, what a shit show, as the design that I'll be releasing as a t-shirt design available at TeePublic the day that this releases on all the streams. So
it's like working at Blockbuster.
Yeah, wow, what a shit show is 100% correct. So if you like this episode, or you just enjoy the show and also really miss Blockbuster, it's a perfect way to throw some retro styling onto your persons or your coffee mug or your laptop cover or a banner in your house if you're a giant weirdo, because I'm not even going to have that. You sick fuck. But there's all sorts of different merch available at TeePublic. Just go to GUIPodcast.com/store, click on the TeePublic link to get access to the over 30 designs from all the different shows and showrunners and regulars that have put up designs on our TeePublic page. So that's our sponsors. Now moving on to the thing that really drives this podcast. Besides the affiliates, besides our personal knowledge on the thing, there is something that really is the linchpin of Geeks Under the Influence, and that is what we're drinking.
Hey, we're fucking drinking
We're getting drunk. You want to know? Well, here you go. Hey.
We're drinking. We're getting drunk.
Yay.
I'm hammered.
Oh, a quick shout out. The end of that was added after our two-part episode with Bo Butler from Avail.
Yep.
And just a shout out that his wife is actually started her own fitness company.
I did see
Lust
that.
for
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows, I mean, Avail's obviously punk, and if anybody knows punk, I mean, Iggy Pop, Lust for Life. I mean, just, and anytime you hear that song, you just kind of want to get up and move.
Yeah.
Or move in your seat or something.
So,
I thought it was a perfect name for a fitness.
And the name is
Lust for Life.
Lust for Life, and that's available Facebook or.
I've seen Facebook. I don't know past that.
Okay,
I have seen a Facebook page.
So I would look up Lust for Life Fitness, and you should probably be able to find it. Yeah,
probably pop up. Yeah.
Sarah's a brick shit house. I mean, if anybody knows fitness,
yeah.
I mean,
so
I want
a little shout out to that though.
A battle to the death between Sarah and Lowdown, your wife, and the only thing that your wife has got leverage because she is like 2 feet tall. So
yeah, she would just come up with a cunt punch and done.
Yeah, done.
It's just done.
Oh wow, Lowdown. I do not want to get cunt punched by your wife. That would suck. Like that would be rough.
Now, I did actually make a mixed drink for this episode that I wanted to share with you. I found a website where you could actually just plug in what you have available in the house, and it tells you what drinks you can make. And I found one that is actually appropriate for this episode. It is a bright blue concoction, which is perfect for the Blockbuster logo, called Blue Monday. And anybody that worked at Blockbuster knows that Tuesday being the new release movie day, Monday, you're always feeling a little bit blue because you have to move everything around to fit the new section for the new titles that are going to be releasing the next day. And you do that midday, and so people are coming in asking to rent the thing that's not available until the next day because they see the cards on the wall, and you're having to explain that that's coming out tomorrow, and it's a living fucking nightmare of a day to work at Blockbuster. Those days I do not miss. But in honor of it, we've got Blue Monday, which is a mixture of vodka, blue curacao, and triple sec. And we'll see.
That's awful.
That tastes about as bad as I felt when I went into work on Mondays at Blockbuster. That is not good. That is
or about as bad as you're going to feel tomorrow.
Honestly,
it's like
in corporate America, Mondays still suck too. So whatever.
It doesn't taste like
Mondays just suck. You can't get away from it. Mondays suck no matter what you're doing. It's fucking
I don't give a shit what you're doing. You could have worked all weekend, and Monday still, for some reason, sucks more than the rest of the weekend.
Correct.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
So,
yeah.
What else are you guys drinking? What do we got on the board?
The only thing I've got some East Coast local stuff. I was drinking Final Gravity's newest release that came out about a week prior to this when this will be released. 12 Parsecs. It was their new New England IPA.
Nice.
I was drinking that. And then I had a Hardywood bourbon barreled raspberry stout. It was my last one of that 4-pack. So that's kind of what I was rocking.
You've been rocking Final Gravity a couple times now recently.
Yeah, I mean, between Final Gravity and Vossen, I think they're like they're two fucking killer breweries right now, really throwing down with a constant new beer every week. Final Gravity, anyway. I mean, every week some of them, obviously the re-releases, but there's always a different beer that drops out every week. So I think that's really impressive. To still be able to do that small batch, stay in business during all this, and so on and so forth.
Fuck yeah. What about you, Will? I
am pretty hammered drunk on a couple shots of Jim Beam to get me going.
Nice.
A couple Guinnesses, and now I'm drinking some Ardbeg 10 Scotch because
so you're just sucking swampy, salty, smoky nuts.
Yeah. And you know what? I didn't have to leave my house tonight, so this is glorious. Right. And also, I don't work at Blockbuster anymore, so I can afford these things.
Yeah, when it comes to Ardbeg, I'm like, but why would you want to afford those things? Ugh.
Right.
Actually, I really enjoy it. It's a very, very smoky,
Shut up, Grutz. I just see him in the corner, fucking pointing over at you. Yeah, you're cheesing.
I love the Ardbeg, man.
Oh,
Have you had the wee beastie yet?
dude, even their like weak one is just too fucking peaty, man.
Oh,
Too
that's
fucking
the
peaty.
best
Dude,
part.
it smells like the fires of California.
It smells like
That
somebody.
were started by the Jewish space lasers.
Dude, see, the fact that it smells like a forest fire, I don't want to drink it. Like my level of peat is like Talisker single malt. That's like my level of peat.
It tastes
Cheers.
like somebody rubbed a golf divot on their taint and then you licked it. Like that's what it tastes like.
It's like
Yeah,
an
but it's
orgy
like
with Swamp
burnt.
Thing.
But it's
Like-
burnt. It's not just like peat. Like
terrible.
I've had peaty scotch. I've had a scotch that was so peaty it was green. No, this thing's like, yeah, it's peaty, but it's burnt. It's that smoky flavor. And I'm
Yeah.
in for it. I'm here for it.
Mm.
To each their own, I guess. It
Yeah,
is
no, to each their
definitely-
own. I get it, you know.
Fuck it. I'm gonna go get some gummy bears. Whatever.
Grutz, what are you sipping on?
All right. I'm drinking my favorite bourbon that you can get in a plastic bottle. And normally that would be like a totally shitty thing.
Yeah.
But I'm drinking Ancient Age, and this is Baby Blanton's. It is fucking delicious. And it is the best goddamn $28 you can spend on a fucking handle of bourbon.
Nice.
Because it's Baby Blanton's. So it's not Blanton's, which is a lot more expensive, but it's Baby Blanton's. And it's not fucking Ancient
It's-
Age, which is rot good as fuck, but it's
fair
Ancient
enough.
Age.
Exactly. Ancient Age sucks.
It's
Ancient
terrible.
Age is fucking awesome.
Nice.
It is
Nice.
the little step up from Benchmark, which is Baby Buffalo.
Baby Buffalo, yeah.
And that's what I'm
And-
also sipping on this evening is Benchmark.
Yeah. So, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, you're in the same distillery. Oh, look at you too. You're so
Aw.
cute. You're so cute.
So that is what we're drinking. This is the fuel that is getting us through this Blockbuster episode, and also what got
And
got
the
us through
pandemic.
working at Blockbuster back in the day. The number of times that I hung out with Grutz after a shift at Blockbuster, drinking on some whiskey back in the day.
Well, I remember one particular night where I was off and you were getting off at midnight, you know,
Oh
And
God,
you were
I know
like-
exactly what
and-
story you're telling.
and you were like, "Hey, can you pick me up a 6-pack before the, you know, like convenience store closes and shit?"
That's sweet that you said 6-pack. It was a 12-pack of
Yes,
shitty
did
beer.
you-
Well, 12-pack.
Pack of whiskey.
No, it was beer. He was like, "Hey, pick me up some beer," and I did. And I got back home, and as I was unloading the beer from my trunk, I got held up at gunpoint because I lived near the Forest Hill store where I worked, and I got held up at gunpoint. They didn't actually take the beer. They took my wallet and cell phone. Didn't take my knife. It was a weird scenario. They didn't even take my car keys.
I like
but,
that.
You just wanted money and beer?
He
They
brings
didn't take
us
the
up-
beer.
He
They
brings
just wanted
this
money.
up from time to time, and there's never been a point where I feel like it's pointed at me, that I am responsible for his being held up. But it's in that roundabout kind of way where he likes to laughably joke about that if I didn't ask him to go get beer, then he wouldn't have had a gun pointed at his head.
Well, if he hadn't had to go into his trunk to get out the beer, then he might have already been in the house.
I mean, if
So, you know.
Well, I mean, that's the
I'm just saying.
responsible way to, like, you know, transport alcohol. Whatever. You know what?
Yeah, it is what it is. Like
I don't blame Hobbit for getting me held up at gunpoint.
My drinking almost got a friend killed. Yeah, I understand. That is something I've had to come to terms with over the years.
You should
And,
think about that when you go to sleep every night.
Yeah,
That's
every
right.
night.
Yeah. Probably the most depressing part of the entire scenario was the like police detective talking to me afterwards, basically saying like, well, the reason you're alive is because you're white. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, well, you know, yeah. And I was like,
I mean, honestly, he's probably speaking facts, though.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
saying.
it was just
Like, that's
fucking
true.
depressing.
People don't
as
want to
shit.
hear about it, but it's also like reality.
Yeah, speaking of about
know.
not wanting to hear about it, let's talk about our next segment that we're doing on this episode. Giving proper homage to the episode, we do a little thing called Making a Drunken Scene. Making a Drunken Scene. So this was a little bit more challenging because this is not focusing on a movie or a series or anything particular, but there are a number of movies, and something that actually Lowdown brought up on the break that would have been a great choice for this if I was smarter, but unfortunately,
We get what we get from him. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, is there was definitely an amazing video store scene from Stranger Things season 3.
Oh, yeah.
Was it 3? No, it was 3, yeah.
Yeah, it was season 3. That would have been a great choice for this, but instead, there's still some pretty good choices that we have available. Of course, we've got to have some Clerks action in here. Like the conversation about Clerks, we talked about it earlier. There's such a beautiful kind of attitude about how you deal with customers in Clerks that I only wish we would have been able to do while working at Blockbuster. So for Clerks, Randall will be played by Lowdown, and I will be the indecisive video customer for this scene from Clerks. So, all right, here we go.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good. Are either one of these any good, sir?
What?
Well, are either of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Well, you have you heard anything about either one of them?
I find it's best to stay out of other people's affairs.
You mean you haven't heard anybody say anything about either one of these?
Nope.
Well, what about these two?
Oh, they suck.
These are the same movies. You weren't paying any attention.
No, I wasn't.
I don't think your manager would appreciate it if...
I don't appreciate your ruse, ma'am.
I beg your pardon?
Your ruse. Your cunning attempt to trick me.
I was only pointing out that you weren't paying any attention to what I was saying.
And I hope it feels good.
You hope what feels good?
I hope it feels so good to be right. There's nothing more exhilarating than pointing out the shortcomings of others, is there?
Well, this is the last time that I rent here.
Oh, yeah, you'll be missed.
Screw you.
Hey, you're not allowed to rent her anymore.
Somebody yell, yeah.
Yeah!
Yeah, okay. That's Jay yelling outside. All right. So, yeah,
That was awesome.
That's Clerks. That is pre-Karening that was happening there.
That was total Karen, dude.
Total Karen. Proto-Karen.
But wasn't it the same woman and that was in there earlier with the daughter when he was ordering the porn? I feel like they just reused the same actress.
Probably. They had like a $12 budget on that movie, so.
Oh, no shit talking. I'm just like.
No, of course not.
No. I was just like, I that's still one of my, like, probably my favorite Kevin Smith movie just because of what he pulled off.
Oh my God, it's
with the amount
brilliant.
of stuff he had, with what limited, and how he worked around his only being able to use it at night. Like everything he did with that movie
is
was
fucking
just
brilliant.
phenomenal. It's for a DIY, dude. Come on, man.
Speaking of DIY, the next one that we chose also is a DIY movie that is not quite as appreciated as Clerks, but it is definitely a indie darling with a lot of well-known actors and actresses that became big after or were big at the time. We're talking about Ghost World. If you are unfamiliar, it's actually based on a comic and has like Thora Birch, Scarlett Johansson, Steve Buscemi. Like there's a lot of really good actors in this film and very well worth a watch if you're not familiar. And we've got a scene from a video store with the Masterpiece Video Clerk and the Masterpiece Video Customer. So Grutz, if you can get us started off.
All right. Hello. Welcome to Masterpiece Video. How may I help you this afternoon, sir?
I'm looking for 8.5 copy of 8.5.
Is that a new release, sir?
No, it's a classic Italian film.
Yes, sir. I'll just check on that on the computer for you, sir.
He types on the computer.
Yes, here it is. 9.5 weeks with Mickey Rourke. That would be in the erotic drama section.
No, 9.5, 8.5. The finale film?
Jesus.
Oh my God.
I like that the Will decided to make it the person that definitely wanted to watch 9.5 Weeks and jerk off while his kid and wife were out of town. That was the vibe that you were doing for a guy that is really into Fellini. So,
Well, I worked in Mechanicsville for a long time.
fair. A lot of Fellini film nerds in Mechanicsville. That was the choice out there. So, all right, so I do want to kind of dig into some of the stories that we have from Blockbuster working there on the second half a little bit, because they're like the experience of having rented there, and I definitely had a lot of stories from that side of it, but being a employee of Blockbuster was definitely something to behold a little bit.
The biggest trouble I ever got into at Blockbuster was on Halloween night. We could play PG rated Halloween movies on the fucking screens in the store.
Yep.
Which was awesome.
I played like Monster House. I played a bunch of horror movies.
Exactly. And I was helping to manage the I think actually the general manager had been fired, so I think it was kind of like quasi managing.
That was most
for
of the
sales
stores.
store.
That was most of the stores by the end. Like I was a third key that was assistant store manager. I was an assistant store manager doing store manager stuff. That was the. I
decided to put on Poltergeist, which is PG, in the store during the day on the 31st Halloween day, and I remember very vividly that there was a mother with her like 4-year-old son. And she was like taking him around the store by the hand, and a particular scene happened and he started crying and she complained. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll stop this. I'll put something else on. And she complained to corporate.
Jesus.
And I got a talking to for putting on Poltergeist PG on Halloween. Yeah.
I actually got a talking to from corporate for kicking out a drunk person that was cussing me out. When I can't even remember what store it was, but I remember that I got kind of a pseudo talking to because a drunk person came in. They had like a $20-something charge of late fees on their account from a store in California, and it was apparently the dude's ex-girlfriend. And he refused to pay it. He wasn't going to pay it. And I told him that, well, then he's got to get that worked out because it has a lock on his account until that is paid. And he cannot rent until that's covered. And then, of course, tons of cussing at me that I'm a piece of shit and all this. Like, that's going to change my mind. Like, that's the one thing that's going to make me, like, decide, you know what, sir? Since you called me a motherfucker, I now feel like it's legitimate that I should rent to you now. Thank you for cussing me into submission so that I can now, you know what? I'll go ahead and take off those charges. Thank you very much. And now you're good to go. Thank you for cussing at me. Have a nice day. No, like I told him, get the hell out of the store. And he refused to at first. And I said, well, the next step is calling the police. And I saw you drive here. So let's see how this works out. And he very quickly left. After that, but he then called or sent an email or something, and I got it talking to, kind of understood the circumstances a little bit and didn't give me too hard of a time, but told me that using hell, because apparently that was stressed in whatever conversation was having, that I told him to get the hell out, that I should be more careful with my word choices in the future. That was one thing. Like, I could be called a motherfucker, but saying get the hell out, that's a bridge too far. A little bit. So
wow, really? Because
yeah.
I remember running into Steve Henshaw at like, oh, what's that mall near Quioccasin? I ran
Regency?
into him. Yeah, he was working as a manager there after Blockbuster, and he was like, wow, so you got the hell out too.
Right.
Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm FU Hunter.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're going to fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
Embrace the madness.
In a world ravaged by movie studios that keep rehashing the same things, only one podcaster has the guts to make it even worse. Join Mike the Hobbit as he traverses the internet to bring you some of the best and worst ideas for reboots, remakes, and reimaginings of some of your favorite and least favorite TV and film properties. Ideas like a John Waters He-Man movie, Fantastic Four the musical, and Aliens, done entirely with marionettes. What podcast would bring this evil upon the world? This is Smack My Pitch Up. Available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Hey guys, Scotty Big Daddy Preston here. That's right, the Geek Father, asking you to join me here every other week with friends and family of the GUI Network as we go through all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent. So remember, join us or cry.
My name is Amy Bogard.
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
And we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as, what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com.
Nah, I got a great awkward story for the district manager. Here's a good one, because behind the scenes it was like, yeah, Blockbuster is kind of like that fuck off store where, like, if you came in hungover or fucking smelling like whatever from the fucking night before, no one gave a shit because you worked in a video store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But also, like, we had to be quote unquote corporate. So we had our fucking corporate training videos and we had all our shit. And I remember specifically there was this one trainee, because once again, I was the guy that was like all of the assistant managers, store managers, district managers, corporate. I was training everybody on their frontline bullshit.
Yeah.
So we had this one time where this one girl continued to wear pants that were too tight.
Oh no. Oh no.
And obviously khakis are not forgiving in this
They're
situation.
called khakis, not slackies. Like they
I had to bring it to like my other manager's attention. I was like, I don't know what we can say, because like this wardrobe malfunction that we were having, that's pretty much because it's khakis as opposed to jeans, is inappropriate, and like customers are noticing.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I took this. I literally was like, I can't do this.
This tannel toe is when you have khakis that give you camel toe, is the term.
Oh, there's a specific term for it?
Tannel toe. No, I made it up just now, but I think that should be the.
So it definitely happened. And so here me and we had two assistant managers at the store because it was the training store. So it was reasonable to have two assistant managers. Me and the other assistant manager, her and I sat down and we were like, yo, we have got to do something. And she was like, oh, you heard too? And I'm like, oh crap. Okay, we've got to, how are we going to deal with this? So we went to the district manager because we're like, we don't want to tread on that line of like,
yeah,
inappropriate either, because it's still corporate. So we're like trying to like explain the situation. Of course, the district manager just goes, oh, you mean she's rocking a camel toe? Oh, God damn it. They're like, yeah, which was horribly awkward timing, because also, if you all have ever seen the movie The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage, there's an entire scene about him and like this kid, and she wears a pair of khakis, and all it does is just cuts to the scene of an actual picture of a camel's foot in the movie.
Oh no.
And goes,
Oh, Jesus.
So it was at the exact same time this movie came out too. So it was just, there was like so many innuendos and awkwardness. And then my poor other assistant manager, like Steve, goes, "Well, I'm not dealing with it," and just looks at her and she goes, "You're gonna have to talk to her." Like, this was just such that epitome of the corporate America. You don't want to get in like a shitty situation, but you also don't.
Well, and what I got from Steve too is that, like, and this is only looking back that I can have this kind of purview, because when I was in it, he was the demon.
He was the man. He was the man. He was the guy that could fire your ass.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I didn't have the right perspective to be able to look at him as anything other than. But looking back on it, he didn't want to be there. He didn't give a shit. Like, he was a district manager for a fucking video rental store, and he's just like, fuck, I don't know, like, do this thing. He did not care. And I wish I had a better understanding of that at the time. I actually, when I worked at Forest Hill, I was working as an assistant store manager, but I was still a third key, quote unquote, under some woman whose name I forget, that was a living, breathing nightmare of a human person. Her name might have actually been Karen. I'm not sure.
Retail breeds that. So
yeah. And she was an assistant store manager that was working as the store manager. So we all both moved up, but didn't get the pay. Well, she did, actually. She got a wage increase. I did not. So my review came around. I got like a 25-cent raise. And Steve Henschel was there for the review. And he's like, and, you know, in a few months, we're going to look at like 6 months down the line, we're going to look at getting you into like an assistant store management position. And I went, Steve, I'm doing that now. Like, I'm literally like doing the assistant store position now. Like, I need to make more money because I'm actually literally doing that job right now. And you're paying me, you gave me a quarter raise. So I then went and applied at a bunch of places. Wawa called me back and was like, we want you for a night shift worker. Do you want to come in for an interview? And I called, I got transferred. This is around the time I got transferred to the Midlothian location under Kiko, who I really liked. He was great. But
what a cool dude. No, cool dude.
Kiko was great.
Yeah. I remember him.
But I called him and said, I'm going to be late. I have a job interview. And apparently that got back to Steve Henschel, who then called me being like, what's up, man? Like, we just got your raise and we were talking about like moving to store manager. And I was like, yeah, you gave me a quarter raise and you said it's 6 months. I've been doing the job that you said I could get in 6 months for a year. Wawa just offered me a position at $1.25 more an hour than what you're paying me right now. So if you can match that, I'll stay, with the guarantee that I get an assistant store position. And he 100% went to corporate, got me the $1.25 an hour more raise with a guarantee of additional 50 cents when I get the assistant store position. So I strong-armed the fuck out of Blockbuster because they were so skeleton crew. This was right at the beginning of the end.
Because Netflix was burning us down hard.
Burning hard on Blockbuster. But Grutz, you got stories for days.
Shit. All right. So when I started my role in the inventory team, I had 3 people under me, which were, sort of Richmond, Hampton Roads centric folks. And I remember having a very awkward situation where I had to talk to one of my particular employees that, Will, you probably know because she worked at your store.
No need for names. We'll figure it out later.
Indeed. And
honestly, I probably don't remember the names anyway.
No, it's all good.
I drank most of that information away.
And because we were not like, we were overnight crew sort of thing. We went around through Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, doing all the inventories. So we wore regular clothes, but I do remember one of the first inventories I ever did. And this particular employee had kind of like a whale tail thing going on.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Like, these are just like corporate America nightmares.
I know.
You have to like,
and it's just like,
you're like we understand Blockbuster, it's a kind of minimum wage shit job, but like,
yeah,
please don't put it like, I don't
put it on us. Don't put it on
like,
the
I don't care. I don't care what you
low-paid
do.
managers.
I don't care what you do. I really don't until somebody mentions it to me, and now I have to care. And now I'm like, oh crap!
Exactly.
Damn it.
And now you have to have an awkward conversation with a girl that with a woman who is 10 years younger than you at least, and be like, hey, you can't do that at work. It's like, oh no.
It was
Fuck.
That was honestly one of the most awkward. But like I said, it was just funny to put the GM, or not the GM, but the district manager on the spot of like, yo, bro, what are we you're gonna tell us how to handle this, because I'm not going down that path.
You gotta pass that shit up, I mean,
I'm not being some weird like creep ass manager. Like you tell me how we're dealing with this, because this is not in my fucking plate. I'm not doing it.
Well, I like that the three people that on this panel that have worked for Blockbuster, we were all there at the very end days.
Oh yeah,
of Blockbuster, where I think Grutz, you actually helped me get a position at Trader Joe's after Blockbuster, so I do appreciate that. And I worked there for like 5 fucking years, and I like worked a lot in the wine section, which was definitely like a very joyful change. And also the attitude of Trader Joe's is so wildly different than Blockbuster that Trader Joe's is like, we're happy you're here, and Blockbuster is like, just like, you're here, fucking deal with it. Where I got pulled in with the flu, being like, no, there's no one to cover, so if you don't show up, I don't care if you have the flu, you're fired if you don't show up attitude from Blockbuster.
I think it's worth mentioning that we should actually talk about the actual end of Blockbuster.
Well, and that's
the
where
way it went down.
Get to is that when I was there, I remember there was a conversation of Circuit City merging with Blockbuster, and at least at my store in Short Pump, where I was working under Mickey, that we actually had like representatives from Circuit City show up. Like dudes in suits, like higher up dudes come in and like look at a Blockbuster like, motherfucker, Blockbuster's been around for decades. Do you not know what a Blockbuster looks like? They walked in and just like looked at stuff like this one store is representative of the entire fucking company. Go fuck yourself. It's a video rental store. What do you think it is? Like,
both of those companies were on their death throes.
Yeah. Circuit City had already claimed bankruptcy, and Blockbuster was like, here's an idea. Let's merge with a company that has claimed bankruptcy. Let's do that.
Because they were on the verge of that too. Like, what the fuck?
It was, and then they skeleton crewed everyone, where it was like impossible to get the shit done that they needed to get done in the time frame that they give you, because they give you no... Like I think at one point I think there were maybe 4 quote unquote CSRs at the store, period.
Let's be real, they understaffed us when they were still doing good.
Yeah, no, correct. Yeah. So when
we were expected to do so much and handle so much, and it was just like, yeah, if it was a slow night, it was cool, but like.
But those Sunday nights where you got to turn over the rental copies into for sale copies, and you've got 2,000 movies to put stickers and remove like fucking codes on and shit, and literally
eat my ass, my whole ass.
Check
like
everybody out on your own. Check everybody out, and also do that all on your own. No coverage. Good luck. Fuck you. You're making $2 above minimum wage, you piece of shit. I hope your parents die. Was the attitude that Blockbuster had. Like they did not give a fuck about us at all.
But yet somehow we still remember this with fondness, and still like, man, you know what?
At the store
having a job that I could fucking show up to smelling like whiskey and no one gave a shit. Who cares?
You know what? At the store level, it was different, though. That there are people that I still talk to, not just even the people on this panel who are some of my closest friends, but like Lacey that I worked with, who's now a nurse in fucking Virginia Beach, I believe, and then Bridget, who's down in like North or South Carolina, and Mickey, who we talked about having on, and like people that at the store level that you were interacting with specifically They were there because they loved movies. And they were willing to deal with all the horse shit that Blockbuster gave them, much like
True.
In a much smaller way than teachers, but how teachers deal with all the horse shit they're given because they love what they're doing. Blockbuster had the Kmart version of that, where like we were getting like dog shit pay and not doing anything that's actually important, like, you know, teaching children, but they knew that they could fuck with us because we were movie nerds and we wanted to be there, and they took advantage of that. And it sucks. But everyone, even the store managers, were in the same boat. It was when it went to corporate and up is where it changed a little bit.
I mean, when it comes down to it, like we enjoyed movies, and that's kind of why we were there. But also, we have to address the fact that Blockbuster completely, as a corporation, missed the boat when it came to technology coming up and the fact that like streaming services was a thing, and they had the opportunity.
They did.
Buy Netflix. They were for $1 million.
No, 50 million. They had an opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million, which sounds like a lot, but then you look at actually how much Netflix is worth right now, and $50 million is a drop in the fucking bucket. And if Blockbuster was unwilling to put 50 mil towards Netflix, it's because they went, this is a flash in the pan. There's probably executives at that point, which was, this was like 2007, 2008. Those same executives are probably still ones being like, I still think the internet's a fad. Just not really looking at.
I feel like this is the okay boomer moment.
It is very much.
It kind of is.
And that's the thing. Blockbuster tried to do their own internet thing. They tried to do some combo thing that they just didn't really get why Netflix worked. And when Netflix started doing the basic level streaming service stuff is where that was the final death blow for Blockbuster. That was it. That was
what was because was it Blockbuster Now? Is that what they called it? Or
that sounds right.
What was it called?
Blockbuster Fuck It, We'll Try Anything, I think was the actual technical name for that.
Because they started it after Netflix and they completely missed a boat, and it was after the fact and their shit sucked.
And when they first started, the deal that they gave was unbelievably good. Like you could do the rental movies that would show up, and then you could return it and get a free rental with every movie you returned or something.
Oh yeah,
something insane.
It was solid. They were still trying to drive the store business.
Yeah. And then a bunch of people signed up, and then they immediately turned it to something that was just like dog shit terrible. Like it's $9 a month and you only get 2 movies and you can't trade it in for free stuff. And people are like, that's worse than Netflix. Okay, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to do that. Because they lost so much money on the initial promotion, they're trying to make it back. Because the people running Blockbuster didn't know the fuck they were doing at all.
I could sell the shit out of it. I remember that. Yeah. I sold a lot of those packages.
But we just
if anybody is listening and they bought one of those packages from me, I'm not sorry. I still did it.
We had to do what we had to do as employees of Blockbuster, but I'm really glad that we ended up with our favorite customers. We ended up with people that we came to know and love, that we worked with, some of which we still are in contact with, either via social media or actually in real life. Blockbuster was, in its time, a place for people to commune together of lovers of movies, and it had its time and place, and I really appreciate it for that. And I really miss that to some degree, but Blockbuster itself as a entity, as a company, fucking sucked. But I'm glad that I got to work there, ultimately.
I am definitely there with you. I had some amazing stories, and and we just don't have time to go into all of the stories of the ups and the downs and the awkwardnesses. even to the point of like kind of fucking with customers, like, hey,
Oh,
what's the
totally.
new release?
100%,
Like, oh my
yeah.
God, you could like recommend anything to somebody. Like, it was great. There's so many amazing points to working there, but then you're like, ugh, it was a shit job.
I remember,
but like somehow I still miss it.
My favorite customers that I would hide a new release for them, which was so not okay, but I did it for my favorite customers occasionally.
I'm gonna report you to corporate.
Yeah, like they fucking like that exists anymore. Because I wanted to make sure they had like the new release or a thing that we talked about weeks ahead of time. Because fuck the rest of them. Somebody that's invested in me and as their guy at Blockbuster, I'm gonna put the extra effort in. It's worth it to me to build that fucking relationship. Grutz.
As a 16-year-old working at Hollywood Video in my super teenage years where I'm a dumbass motherfucker, I do remember a very asshole mother situation where she was looking for someone for a fucking video for her kid, and she was such a dick to me. And at Hollywood Video, we actually had a VHS copy of Meet the Feebles, and
yes,
I legitimately said that this was like gonna be fucking fantastic for her kid.
Yes,
because I didn't give a fuck back then. But transitioning from that dumbass story, I will say that overall, video stores, whether we worked at them or not, have been a integral part of our lives. And I want to reach out to Lowdown to see, like, going forward, obviously now video stores aren't a thing.
No.
What do you feel like is the next evolution of this possibility, you know, outside of streaming services?
Movies?
No, just like what do we think might happen, you know, as far as a actual like brick and mortar business outside of streaming services?
Oh, so like Blockbuster, like on the Friday nights when everybody went to Blockbuster, there was this like community kind of thing that happened at Blockbuster where you'd see your neighbors at Blockbuster and you talk about like the different movies that you're going to get. And it was like this kind of like group effort of we're all doing the same thing at the same time. How do we
There's not going to be rental stores anymore,
No.
but like,
So
you know,
how do we
like
have
there's
that?
limited amounts of like purchasing at like record stores and stuff. But like, what do we think is going to happen going forward?
I mean, I think these people are going to be more shut in. There's nothing really to replace that. I mean, everything's
everything's
on a
going-
screen. Like there's nothing to get excited about going to. Pandemic aside, like I mean, there's nothing like because movies. I mean, if anything, the pandemic's like royally fucked movies. We ain't never going to fucking movie theaters. That would be the last bastion of hope in my mind is going to see a movie when it opens on, you know, the Thursday, what used to be the pre-show showing Thursday, but became the fucking opening night. They just don't want to call it the opening night because I don't know, they're fucking stupid. Whatever. But
yeah, right.
But
Well, 'cause you
that
had
was
to go
like the
at midnight.
that was like the last bastion of hope for like actually being excited to meet your friends out to to do something that you couldn't do at home.
Well, I do see that there is kind of like the result of, well, yes, COVID for sure, but also kind of the nature of the beast of everybody having a home theater and big TVs in their house and having less desire to go out, which is not this group because before COVID, I was still going to the movies, especially for the big blockbuster, big popcorn movie stuff on a regular basis. But I think what might be happening after COVID with the nature of like that communal activity of loving movies is more that boutique approach to film watching that like Alamo Drafthouse has, cinema cafes, that kind of attitude where there are people that are true film lovers that just like Alamo, where on the weekends you can have like a John Carpenter weekend, you can have a Tom Hanks weekend, you can have all these classic movies playing on a big screen that people will come out to do the themed cocktails and the themed food that you're serving that weekend. And you also have the new movies coming out that you can see on the big screen. And it's not this rank and file, pile in, go into your seat, here's the thing, here's $20 popcorn, get the fuck out attitude. It's going to be, you can watch this at home, sure, but if you want to really be a nerd for film, you can come here. You can have some drinks with your friends like you're at a bar. You can get some good food. You can like hang out, enjoy the film, like find a place to hang out afterwards outside. Like you really experience the like being a film nerd, and that will continue to exist. The Cineplex may not exist after COVID, but the boutique theaters like Alamo and such will, in my opinion.
I totally agree that boutique theaters are going to continue. Like that's a great thing, and I'm hopeful that it will continue. Because the other problem with the whole like internet streaming thing where you don't go to the store to wander around and see what's new or what's old or just look at the cover of a fucking movie and decide, well, this looks weird as fuck. The hard part about that is it's really easy to unfortunately land yourself, and I'm responsible of it on my own end, of a niche where like this is the kind of movies, and even Netflix and Amazon and Disney, they all do it. Because you watch this, you should watch this.
Yep.
Now you're just landing like in a niche that like you might not have landed in. Like, yeah, you might have talked to the dude at Blockbuster and he would have had in the niche comment, but you don't get the branch out.
Yeah.
In the same manner.
Agreed.
There are awesome movies and films that are released all the time. I just saw Psycho Gorman, and that fucking shit was amazing.
I have not seen it yet, and I've heard nothing
so
but
great.
amazing shit
It's
about
so
it.
good. Our episode will come out shortly.
Okay.
However, having that experience working in the video business, we also understand that, there was a lot of dog shit that came out. And we all understand that you have to navigate that. And
we all worked there post when Japanese horror films got big, where everything that was Japanese horror got shipped to the States. So there was great Japanese horror, and there was everything else, and everybody was like, "Oh, Japanese horror, buying it up," and we're like, "No, not that stuff. This stuff."
That era is kind of gone.
Yeah.
Like you're right. The physical media era is almost gone, but not gone, because there's a whole lot of boutique, companies doing DVD releases of like way crazy old school shit, Vinegar Syndrome and all those guys. They're doing that, but that's where we are.
And I think, for me, it feels like sometimes that the movie store experience is almost like a different town that I used to live in. Almost like it's almost touchable. Like if I just like traveled for 2 hours, I could end up in a video store doing the thing. It doesn't feel like 30 years ago. It feels like it's something that just happened and I'm just not in the same town as it sometimes. And
well, in reality, it wasn't 30 years ago. I mean, the last video store in Richmond closed like, what?
About 10, 15.
8 years ago. And
I would say video stores as far as a standard regular action was about 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Was when that was like the kind of last death nail of rental stores. So yeah, for us at our age, 10 years unfortunately happens pretty quickly. So it does feel like yesterday, and it does feel like almost if I went back home to visit my family, there would be a bunch of rental stores and I just don't live near them kind of attitude. But that's not the case. It's just that is the past, and we can't get back there, and it sucks. But what we can do is try to create opportunities for film lovers to unite together. And that's what we try to do on the network with these podcasts. That's what we've tried to do with the live shows that we've done in the past with the Beautiful Disasters live shows, is a collection of nerds watching a bunch of dumb shit together.
Hell yeah.
And we will be continuing to do that once it's safe to do so. So film lovers, people that miss Blockbuster, people that miss the rental community, please take heed. Like there are still ways to like have that community. You just got to dig a little bit deeper to get it. And we'll do our best to provide it as much as we can once everything settles down. So that is my last little bit before we finish this episode. Thank you so much for this, for listening to our rigmarole about working at Blockbuster and our experiences renting. And I want to hear your stories from Blockbuster listeners, whether you work there or rented there on a regular basis. I want to hear the nightmare stories, the fun stories. When this releases, just hit our social media. You can find all those links at GUIPodcast.com. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the things. Let us know your Blockbuster stories. I want to hear them. I want to hear these stories. Video them, fucking tweet them, whatever. I don't care. I'm excited about it. It makes me happy. And we'll find you next time for another episode of Geeks Under the Influence. I'm Mike the Hobbit. Join us or die.
Shut the fuck up, Hobbit.
Join us or die. Join us or die. Or I will swallow your soul.
GUIPodcast.com.
Shit show.